Hi, my name is Fiona from Young Mums Support Network.
Hi, and I'm Sarah from Young Mums Support Network. And today we're doing a session following Family Support's new monthly topic, all about change. What change looks like to us, how we respond to it, and some tips about being positive in responding to change.
And I suppose, like all of us, change is happening very soon. We're going to be going into a new change as of tomorrow. And it will be good to kind of look at and discuss how we're all going to adapt to it. I think if we start with maybe the positives, it's always good to think about. And when I think about the change that's coming, Sarah, I think actually we had a little bit of preparation earlier on in the year. And I've been kind of holding on to that. I don't know what you would say, but that's been a bit of comfort to me.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing about change is that it's unavoidable. You know, whether it's the lockdown that's happening, whether it's changing schools, moving house, like change is
Yeah.
always going to happen through life.
Yes.
Can't do anything about that. But what we can do is think about how we respond to change. And I think you know, what I love about chatting to you is that you're so good at looking at the positives. And
Yes.
um, I echo what you say about looking back to the first lockdown, thinking about what actually went well during that period. What did what new strengths did I find that I had that I never knew I had before? What little activities do I want to kind of restart again during this next lockdown?
Yeah.
That's a really good way to start.
Yeah, and it could be, interestingly that you've mentioned that, it could be something simple as, do I need to change like kind of my some of my morning routines, or my habits, or the things that you would just, and I suppose that's where when we obviously last month did habits and change, I think they definitely kind of cross over in a similar way, because in order to change, you're looking at what it is you're changing, and oftentimes it is habits and stuff that we've just done without even thinking. And like what you've highlighted is change is going to happen regardless, and like everything in life, it's how we cope, it's how we manage, it's also that what's in our toolbox, what is in our kind of reserve, or in our tank, as we always say. You can't pour from an empty cup. How are we, especially as mothers and as parents, what is it that we're doing? Because we're having already conversations with children, I'm sure you're doing the same at the moment, who are asking, so my teenager's saying, well, Mum, don't you think that school should change? She's already should close. And she's saying, well, why is it that, they're holding off? She thinks that, oh, I think maybe they want to wait for us to do our SATs, do our mocks, so that they've got the data. Now, this is a 16-year-old that's telling me this, and I'm like, you might actually have a point there. But those are conversations, and I'm sure, like with the younger ones, they're thinking, well, if we're going into lockdown, how comes that the things are still going to be the same, but they're going to be different? And yeah, it's like for us all, Sarah, I mean, do we have the answers? Not
Yeah.
all of them.
Well, I think that's one of the challenging things, is identifying what elements of this period of change do I have the power to do something about,
Yeah.
and to control, and which bits have I got absolutely no control over. And so one of the things that I said to my kids when they were asking, oh, so does that mean that school's going to close? Or, well, how come we can go to school but we can't do football training anymore? And I've just had to say to them, look, the rules are the rules.
Yeah,
We can't change them.
that's right.
So instead of questioning it all and trying to find some sort of sense in all of it. I've said, well, what we've got to focus on is what can we still do, and
Yeah.
plans,
Yeah.
things that we can look forward to together.
That's right. And I think we all have the questions. Like, I don't wrong, especially our little people. I think it's very, I mean, we're raising children in a pandemic. None of us went through anything like this during our childhood. So for them, trying to kind of make sense of it, the point of call is going to go to mum, go to dad, go to whoever to say, can you just answer this? Because and we're all in a position of, if we're to be totally honest, we kind of don't get it ourselves. If I'm to be honest, Sarah, I'm thinking so many different things, but at the same time, I have to keep my cool. I have to keep my cool. I know that, life still has to go on, and we've got a household to run. Change, as you rightly said, is about to happen, and it's all about how we respond to it.
And I think it's a time where you can, as you say, like, draw on your reserves and your toolkit. And one of the things that is really important in times of uncertainty is to reflect on your values as a person, because they
Yes.
can be really grounding and anchoring, and kind of remind you that actually, yeah, you do have the strengths to get through these periods,
So true.
and stay positive. And
Yeah.
it kind of brings you back to those places that are the constant in these times of change.
Totally, 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 totally. And values, as you know, that's what shapes and makes us as human beings and as individuals. So 100%. And it's a good reminder, because sometimes, do we even remember, we know that we're good standing citizens, but do we often think, what are my values? What am I, how ethical am I? I think in times like this, where change is happening and we can see the behaviors have started again. I shared yesterday that I saw the queues again, and the panic buying and all of the stuff that starts to happen. And in the midst of it all, you have to say to yourself, right, am I going to kind of get caught up in all of this, or am I just going to breathe and just take my time through it all without feeling overwhelmed and super stressed by it? Because as we know, the change is coming. It's coming sooner than we thought. I think some people thought it was going to happen a while back, but it is happened. This is where we're at. We are in November. So 2020 is coming to an end, guys. We're gonna be able to, mark this year in history. However, what did we do? What did we do with it? And I think this is a good segue into documenting some of the most beautiful moments, and they could be as simple as, like, the sun right now is shining through my window, hence why I've got this glare on my top, but it feels so nice on my body right now, just the sun coming in, and I can feel it. And I'm, much as I'm present with Sarah having this conversation, I'm also feeling my senses and being mindful about what is happening in my environment. As simple as, there's some people I've spoken to, and that cupboard that they always wanted to tackle, they tackled during a time where they just had more time on their hands. And to them, that's been a massive sense of achievement. I remember doing it. It's gone back to normal again now, but remember doing it and seeing everything in its place, feeling like, well done, Fiona. You've done it. And those, to some people, they'll be like, well, it's a cupboard. What's the big deal? But to others, it's like, well, I've always put it off. I managed to get it done. So the listless things, I don't know what you would share, Sarah, has been kind of like a bit of a milestone, or something that you would document, whether it is that you began journaling again or writing again. I know that you've been doing stuff with your grandparents and your children. You've been making sure that there's certain things that, what would you say has been special moments for you?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned journaling, because that's something that we're really passionate about at YMSN, and something that we wanted to introduce to everyone that's watching.
Yeah.
And yeah, something that I did during, oh, that's a nice one.
Thank you. I got it in America.
Nice. Something that I did during the first lockdown was try and practice like daily gratitudes with the children. And that was something that I wrote down in a journal, which is a really lovely record to kind of look back on. And so having like a little notebook, or even if you just kind of use little post-its to write on, can be a really nice way of getting into a daily practice of whether it's gratitude lists or goals that you're going to set yourself.
Yes.
And it helps kind of declutter your mind if you get things down on paper.
Thank
It
you.
can help you focus on the
Yeah.
things really important. Very good.
Yeah.
Uh,
I came prepared.
yeah. And yeah, and I think it can help you notice the positive things more, pay more attention to the positive things that are going on, and help you recognize
Absolutely.
all those sort of little strengths that you've got that you might sort of forget about.
Yeah, absolutely. And even capturing yourself, even sometimes it's even if are your awareness has been heightened in certain times, because sometimes we just coast along. And I really believe self-awareness is something that if we all learn to kind of master, we become kind of masters of self as well. And I'm very big on personal development and growth and trying to just become better as a human being. And like, if I'm to be honest with you, I've noticed that I've become a bit of a moaner at home. Can I say that? A moany mum. So everything seems to, the shoes are out of place. Can you put your shoes back? Can you pick up the stuff off the floor? Can you do, and then I've caught myself and I'm thinking, what is it that's is it that, things that are happening at this moment in time are making me feel a little bit like, oh, these little things are starting to niggle. And I've jotted it down to think, actually, I need to probably remember that, I control the energy in the household as well. So it's important that even if I am feeling like I'm a bit grumbly, just being able to even have that conversation to say, mummy's probably been a bit moody and a bit moany recently, as would you say so? And just hearing, it'll be a funny conversation, by the way, the response will be extremely hilarious, but just acknowledging, and I think sometimes validating, because we all need to validate our feelings, and this is what journaling really does, like you said, in terms of getting it out of the mind and acknowledging the things that is probably happening, but you haven't taken that moment in time to say, let me write this down, because you go back and read it and think, oh, actually there's an opportunity to sit down and discuss this. We used to in lockdown have a few like family meetings, which I think we need to bring back, just to check in on everybody, and see how everyone's feeling during this time.
So how do you make the journaling work for you? Do you have a set time that you do it every day, or do you keep it like a diary? Do you have lists of things to do, or how do you make it work for you?
I think for me, what I have been doing, because I've got a few journals as well. I've got actually another one here. My mum actually got me this one. It's really nice, and it's got different days and stuff in there. This one's really lovely. I haven't really tackled this one, but I like to get my thoughts out. So this is why this bit of paper here, it's kind of, this one has like some of the goals that I've set. I kind of, my self-talk at the moment is all about positivity, all about manifestation, all about what I want to see. Even my recent vision board, I sit down and do little things for myself about what it is that I am wanting. Yes, I came prepared, Sarah. But I want to kind of be quite super focused in, actually, because the brain at the moment and the mind can be really racing, and sometimes compartmentalizing your journal. So I've even got don't laugh at me. I've actually got one for house cleaning. It's the Mrs. Hinch's one. She's really quite funny, anybody that follows her on Instagram. But it really kind of helps you to keep on top of things. There was times when I felt like, actually, I just want to be a bit more organized. So for me, it depends on kind of what the focus is. So if it is, okay, you know, not wanting to be a moany mum and looking at, okay, what else could I do, and jotting down notes to self. Could be simple things like just, you know, when last did I tell my children that I love them? When last did we just have a nice little group cuddle? When last did we just sit and watch a lovely film on Amazon, which we did during the half term, which was absolutely awesome. We watched this amazing movie. It was all of us snuggled up into bed, and it was just the best moment ever. And I got a lot from it. I could see that they were just getting so much from it. And it's that regular check-in. And I think as a single mum, sometimes because you're more in demand with everybody else's emotions, sometimes the balance I found probably is not as ideally I'd like it to be, but I never want to play victim, if that makes sense. I always think, okay, how can I kind of like put the radar or put the spotlight on my children or the home or kind of my wellness, and what is it that I'm doing? So I have different things. So even as simple as these Yes Mum cards, Sarah, that we stand by at times, you know, this one I've just picked up says, I'm not afraid to ask for help. So as simple as something like that, I could start writing on a journal and thinking, actually, who do I need to ask for help, or who can I even help? You know, sorry, I know that was a long-winded answer, but I don't think it's a one size fits all. It all depends. And this is, I hope when those that are watching this, I don't want us to come across as, or me to come across as, oh my gosh, Fiona, you're super mum and you've got all these things. I'm really not. I'm just really about personal and self-development and growth, and trying to always find things to help and aid me along this path.
Yeah, no, it's really lovely to hear, because I sort of fall into the trap of being a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to things like, you know, you have this idea of a journal that's going to bring like control to every aspect of your life, and you'll be able to record every little moment that goes on through the day. And you know, a while ago, I started following loads of people on Instagram who do these like absolutely incredible, beautiful journal entries every day. And I just found it so overwhelming in the end that I was just like, I can't keep this up. I'm wanting it to do everything for me. And actually, I found that focusing on one thing, which was the daily gratitudes, was a really good way to start, because it was an easy way into making it a new habit and a new part of my day. And once you get into doing that, which is quite a small, easy to manage little thing on a daily basis, that's a good place to grow from, rather than starting off thinking like, I'm going to record absolutely everything that's going on, all my meal planning, all my, you know, what the kids are doing, all my things to do. It just wasn't realistic for me. So
yeah. And you've got to think, in the midst of this, life is happening. So it's like, while you're spending your world journaling, what else is going on? There's dinner to cook, there's a house to tidy, there's shopping to buy, there's bills to pay, there's people to connect with. It's like, if you kind of like become this, because we're not robots. And as much as, and this is why I often say to people, just remember that social media is people's best face. It's their, you know, you're not seeing behind all of that. And I really, if we could ever just kind of really humanize and normalize what social media is, yes, it's that good feel good moment, but never use it or see it as something that can make you start to question your own self. Because remember, we don't have a clue about what else is going on in other people's homes, or what goes on behind closed doors, as they say. So it's oftentimes it's healthy to remember that as well. We're all human.
yeah. And On that note, just to bring things to a close, we're going to be having a Zoom journaling session on Friday, the 27th of November. And that's going to be a nice, relaxing sort of evening Zoom where you can come and spend some time with us. And start exploring how journaling can help you in your day-to-day life, and maybe get started together.
Absolutely. And just remember, it could just be a little notebook, don't worry about the fancies. It could even be just a bit of paper. Just see it as an opportunity to just get your thoughts out of your mind. And if you're new to journaling, just don't see it as anything, too overwhelming. It's just your time. See it as some me time. I often say, as a space to do it. And the powerful thing about doing things together, it's just like some people need a gym buddy or a running partner or somebody to be accountable to. We wanted to create something where we said, right, okay, if we are going to be having a digital Christmas and we need to kind of create some digital fun, and how best to do that than by putting on some kind of creative and innovative activities. And this is why we titled it Sip and Journal, because we know that these sip and paint sessions have been quite a success. And Sarah is our arty one here, so that might also be coming soon. But we thought, why not start with a sip and journal? And sip, we're not talking champagne, which it could be water, it could be your tea, it could be whatever you like to drink. Your sip is your sip. Disclaimer.
Yes, do get in touch with us if you would like to join us on that, and some details will be coming at the end of this video.
Excellent. Well, thank you for watching.
Yeah, and see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.